So today we are making the easiest one-pot pasta. It just so happens to be an Alfredo, a spicy Alfredo, and it just so happens to be incredibly high protein without adding any meat whatsoever. So first we are starting with our cheese. Of course you don't need to grate your own Parmesan cheese, but it is just so much better this way. This is honestly the most difficult part of this recipe. I also just have to preface that this is by no means an authentic Italian recipe. This is more of an Americanized version of Alfredo. It's gonna have cream, it's gonna have some different ingredients in it. So if you're Italian, shield your eyes. I know a lot of you don't even think that Alfredo has ever been Italian. You know, I complain sort of, but I really do enjoy the arm workout. Also, 8 months, hello? Yes, I'm aware. This is a lot of cheese. Parmesan is just super high protein, guys. Like 10 grams of protein per ounce, and it's like virtually lactose free. So if you're able to find lactose free versions of some of the other creamy ingredients we have today, you're like golden, assuming you suffer from a lactose intolerance of sorts. Holy flippin' moly. It's a mountain of cheese. A sight to behold. Okay, so now we're just gonna blend up a little mixture of protein, shall we? We've got some cottage cheese. This is the real reason for the blender. So we've got 2 cups here. I always use a whole milk cottage cheese. More fat equals more flavor, guys. It's already like not really that high in calories. Next, we are gonna add some evaporated milk. You guys know I love to use evaporated milk. It's about the same richness as half and half, but it's got like double the protein, over double the protein compared to half and half. All right, so we're adding a cup of evaporated milk, and I've got some heavy cream. I do want to add some richness to this, so we're gonna do, yeah, a half a cup here. All right, so next we have some gochujang. It's a fermented Korean red pepper paste. Super savory, definitely spicy. Different brands can have different spice levels, so just beware. So we're gonna start with 1/4 cup, but this is really about how much spice you guys want. And I might be insane for this, but I sort of was just like, what would happen if we were to also add some Calabrian chilies to the party? I love the tang and obviously the spice of these Calabrian chilies. So I'm gonna add, since this is supposed to be spicy today, we're going in with 2 whole tablespoons. I'm gonna go ahead and add all of our Parmesan cheese. All right, so we're just gonna blend this up until everything is nice and pureed and smooth. Easy breezy. Just scrape the sides down. Ooh, smells slightly dangerous. Oh my gosh. It is so smooth already. I feel like we can add more. I'm going for it. I know a lot of people are just like super surprised that I am even attempting to eat spicy food while pregnant, but I just haven't really had an aversion or any sort of heartburn or indigestion or anything from it. And I have been craving spicy food, so I figure might as well go for it if I can. Also gonna add just a skosh of salt. Let's give her another little tasty taste. I think we're there. I think we're good. Oh boy. I dressed for the occasion. Okay, so now we have our sauce, and you might be thinking to yourself, wow, Lindsay, that's a lot of sauce for 1 pound of pasta, and you would be absolutely right. And that is because I accidentally made double. I'm gonna blame it on being 8 months pregnant, because that's pretty much what I blame everything on right now. So we're gonna set all that sauce aside for now, and we're gonna get to the rest of our dish, the 1 pot portion. And this is so easy, guys. I can't emphasize how easy this preparation is enough. First, I do want to take a second to thank today's sponsor, Kettle and Fire. Today, Kettle and Fire is playing a big part in our recipe because we are cooking our pasta directly in their bone broth. This is one of my absolute favorite protein hacks. It is the easiest 40-gram protein add ever. 1 pound of pasta, 4 cups of bone broth. That's how you get to that 40 grams of protein. It just soaks all of that deliciousness right up. You guys have seen me use Kettle and Fire plenty of times. It is my favorite brand of bone broth for a few reasons. A, because their broths come from organic chickens and grass-fed beef, which you know is super important to me, but also they really just take their time. They use real bones and they simmer them for over 14 hours to extract as much of that delicious collagen, gelatin, electrolytes, and vitamins and minerals as they can. This is something you just do not get from standard broths. I also think it's really worth saying that especially right now in this country, we are surrounded with highly processed foods that are just making us sick. They don't truly nourish us or heal us the way real food should. And listen, I'll be the first to say that I'm not perfect. No one is. I love American cheese. But the amount of nourishing foods that we eat, like quality bone broth, should far outweigh those highly processed foods. So anyways, we're gonna get back to the recipe, but you can learn more about the benefits of bone broth at the link in the description of the video and get a discount on some Kettle and Fire while you're at it. Just use the code that's on the screen here or the QR code to get your discount. All right, so before we add the bone broth, I have one more ingredient that I like to add. Kind of optional, but it's mega delicious, so live your own life. We have some garlic. This is probably, I don't know, half a tablespoon, however much you want. I will say I do not encourage the jarred minced garlic. I just think it's gross. If you happen to really enjoy the flavor of it, you can't tell, I don't know how that's possible, but if you don't mind it, feel free to use it here. I just feel like fresh garlic tastes so much better. And I swear this is like a crop top. My mom thought it was a bathing suit top because it just keeps scooting up. All right, so 2 of these containers is 4 cups. We're gonna go ahead and add that in. Turn the heat up to high. I'm gonna add some salt. Now remember, we're not trying to salt this as much as we would a pot of water because all of this liquid is getting soaked up into the pasta, unlike a large pot of water. So, you know, season the liquid, but not too much. This is my waiting for water to boil dance. That's not water. All right, our broth is boiling and it is time to add our pasta. I'm using fettuccine today because it's like, you know, Alfredo or whatever. Kind of my favorite part. So obviously using a long noodle like this, you want to make sure that your pot is as wide as that noodle. Otherwise, you can use kind of whatever pot you want if it's a shorter pasta. Do not encourage breaking the pasta in half on this channel. Just gonna kind of make sure that it's all generally kind of submerged like this. And we're just gonna let it boil away. I'm gonna give it a little nudge every minute or so just to prevent sticking to each other and the bottom of the pan. And depending how long the cook time is on your pasta, you may end up needing a little less broth, a little bit more broth. This is good for around a 10-minute cook time, this 4 cups. If you end up needing more broth, if your pasta's not done and pretty much all the liquid has evaporated, you can add more bone broth, more protein, or you just add a little bit of water. And I'm telling you guys, this already smells so good. I have another box on standby. I think I'm gonna add just a skosh more. And honestly, guys, this tastes so good as is. Just add like a few pats of butter, some Parmesan cheese. So another thing that happens when you cook pasta in a smaller amount of liquid like this without the intention of draining it is all of those starches in the pasta get released into that water and thicken it up, or broth or whatever you're using. So you're automatically going to be left with kind of like a saucy consistency no matter what you're using. Oh man, it's giving chicken noodle soup. All right, so we are turning the heat. I'm gonna just like turn it off actually for now, because this sauce contains cottage cheese. Cottage cheese does not like high temperatures or it will just curdle on you. All right, so you can see there's still a little bit of broth left. I ended up adding like another cup here, even though the cook time says 10 to 11 minutes. So, you know, this is one of those like technique things where you just have to use your best judgment depending on the type of pasta that you're using. So now we've got our sauce that we are, again, only going to use half of. Okay, that was a little bit more than half. Oh boy. I do like a saucy pasta though, not gonna lie. So I'm gonna turn this back on to a low heat. And we just wanna gently warm this up. We are not trying to bring it to even a simmer necessarily. All right, guys, that's literally it. So it's time to plate, and my favorite time, you know, time to eat. Bon appetito. Oh, this is a huge mistake. This garnish was just a giant mistake. Honestly, one of my favorite parts about doing these videos is getting to pour myself one of these, no lie. Yes, I have a spoon. I know you're not like supposed to eat pasta with a spoon. Who made these rules? So I feel normally I am a big biter, but I'm a little afraid to do that today. I feel like for anybody else this would be a big bite. For me it's just average. Mm. Whew. So savory in the best way. If you like gochujang, you're going to love this. It has like umami, you know, the kind of indescribable savory quality, and it's cheesy at the same time, so creamy. Oh. And definitely spicy. Oh my gosh. It's kind of this like lingering warmth, like intense warmth. I literally feel like I just gave my baby the hiccups. Is that a thing? Spicy food giving your baby the hiccups in the womb? I feel like I'm starting to sweat. Mm. I am avoiding this garnish that I added at all costs. It's just such a bad idea. But it looks pretty. So the base of this recipe is kind of in my cookbook, but with blackening spice. The cottage cheese, the Parmesan cheese, those are the things that really like add a ton of protein to this. The bone broth, those are the basic elements. Add whatever flavorings you want on top of that. It can really be transformed in like many, many ways. You don't even have to use Parmesan cheese if you don't want to. If you want to use a different cheese, you can. I would encourage higher protein cheeses, obviously. Gruyere is another higher protein cheese. Cheddar, not as much, but it would definitely turn it into more of like a mac and cheese type thing. I know a lot of people that have been pregnant before must be watching me like in horror at the heartburn they think that I will have after eating this, and knock on wood, I have not had any heartburn or anything like that. I haven't had trouble with any type of food, really. So yeah, hopefully this isn't the start of that, but I have been craving spicy foods. Oh, man. Oh. Shane wants to have our own episode of Hot Ones on here, and I just think it's a terrible, terrible idea. Me struggling with this right now is like not a good sign. I'm gonna make him try this later, and I know he's gonna struggle with it probably more than I am. So a long time ago, somebody sent me one of those one chip challenge chips with like the Carolina Reaper powder all over it or whatever it was. The next day, we went to the CrossFit games. Guys, like I was kind of a wuss during the challenge. Like I had ice cream, I had milk, like I had all of the things. So it was like incredibly, incredibly spicy, but I was able to recover relatively quickly as far as like the initial spiciness of it. But guys, that is far from the worst part about eating spicy food, let me tell you. Like the next day was awful for me. One of the worst days ever. I could barely function. I could barely stand. The hair was standing up all over my body. It was not good. Okay. I think I have one more in me. So delicious, but a little intense for me right now. I thought I wanted it, and I do kind of. It's like, it hurts so good kind of thing. All right. My nose is stuffy. Oh my gosh. So I've calculated 4 servings for this. I believe the macros are in like the low 700 range for 4 servings, but 44 grams of protein, I believe. I will add it to the recipe link in the description for you guys, so everything will be there, including all of the micronutrient highlights, etc. Yeah, I'm leaking. All right, guys, that's it for me. Thanks for tuning in to 8 months pregnant Lindsay, the Hunger Diaries channel. Just really been enjoying these pregnancy cravings videos. Oh, comment below what you thought about this one pot high protein spicy Alfredo situation. I can only imagine with my pregnancy cravings how they are, what breastfeeding cravings are gonna be like, guys. Just a whole new level. Anyways, thank you so much for watching today. I hope you all have a great rest of your night, and I will see you guys next time. I feel like a fire-breathing dragon.